Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. You know what this means, right? Yep, we're doing Bachi tricks this week. We're going to take the Bachi flip, but instead of talking about how to flip, we're going to talk about when to catch. Let's go. When it comes to flipping your Bachi, what's the most important part? It's the catch. If you catch it badly or barely, that's still 1,000 times better than not catching it at all. And for that reason, most people don't care when they catch it, as long as they catch it. And that brings us to this week's drill, the timed flip. Not the time flip. I was thinking of calling it that, but it sounds like a cheesy 80s action movie or a 70s game show. No, the timed flip is all about catching the Bachi at a very specific and deliberate point in time. Before we get into the 6 different levels of the timed flip, I want to talk about level 0, which is essentially being comfortable with the single flip, just one end over the other. If that's not familiar, even if it's not comfortable, if it's not familiar, then this week's video is probably going to be difficult, if not frustrating for you. So I'm going to link below part 1 of my Bachi flip video, and I really recommend taking a look at that. It's not that you have to watch the whole thing and master the flips. I can't remember what I did in part 1 versus part 2, but just understanding the dynamics and mechanics of how this works is going to set you up for the rest of this week's drill. Level 1 is really simple. You're going to count to 4, and every time you hit 4 is when the Bachi flips and lands into your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The flip we're using is your single flip, which is the end that's furthest away from you, is coming up and over, landing in your hand. It's half of a full rotation. That's a single flip. Even if this is generally comfortable, stay here for a while, get used to counting to 4, catching in 4, until it's relatively comfortable. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Level 2 is where we start to experiment with tempo and pacing. In level 1, I had a moderate tempo and a moderate pace. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what I was doing, if you notice, is I'm kind of pulsing on the 1, but I'm throwing on the 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But if I slow the tempo down and keep the pace, it might look something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not throwing on the and anymore because the and is too far apart. So the tempo can change, but the pacing can stay the same. And of course, you can change it the other way as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no need to get fancy here. You're starting to play with parameters. I recommend staying at one tempo and one pacing for a while and not changing it up every few. No, pick 2, stick with it for a while, stop. Pick another 2, stick with that for a while, stop, and repeat. If you're a regular viewer, you know one of the things I talk about all the time, and that's right and left hand balance. In this case, you can do it in 2 different ways. One is simply let your other hand do this drill. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the other, which is a little more difficult, not a huge amount, is to switch between the 2 hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, you can play with tempo and pacing as well. All right, level 4 is where the difficulty bumps up a little longer than we've been doing in the previous steps. Up until now, you've been doing the single flip. But there are other flips that we're going to start to incorporate. You've got your double flip, you've got your triple or more flips, you've got your reverse single, and your reverse double. I'm not going to go into the mechanics of any of these. I'm going to link both of my Bachi flip videos below. If you're curious how to do these, check those out. But the real idea here is to try the other flips while still catching on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just did a cycling through the different types of flips. Some were more successful than others, but I don't want you to do that. This was just a demonstration. When you're doing level 4, pick one of those 4, do that one for a while before moving on to try a different one. Level 5 requires 2 bachi and something to play on. Up until now, I've been counting the 4-count pattern, but now I'm going to play the 4-count pattern with the other hand. So this could either be a huge jump in difficulty for some of you, or maybe not a big one at all. Again, do as I say, not as I do. I'm cycling through a couple of different flips. And there's one more thing you can do, which harkens back to level 3. It's not just that you can play with the other hand, but you can switch between the 2 hands. If you're going to do this, you definitely want to pick one tempo, one pacing, and one type of flip and stick with it for a while. Now you don't have to do the raising. I'm doing that so you can see it clearly. You can keep both your bachi down here. And that works too. How do I define level 6? Level 6 is opening the floodgates and letting it all out. You don't have to worry about landing on the 4, but you do want to make every catch deliberate. Aside from that, have fun. Instead of going through all the things that you may or may not, could and could not do, I'm just going to do a demonstration and you'll see what level 6 can be all about. The timed flip does 2 things for you. 1, it helps you take the bachi flip and make it more practical. You can practice bachi flips all you want. You can get really good at it, but if you haven't tried it in a song or a solo or a practice or whatever, you might find that it's not easy to juggle the flip with the timing and the tempo, plus what your hands are doing or were doing or want to do, and the pressure of having to do everything well. It's really difficult. The timed flip is a way to sort of practice under that pressure. And second, it's a really good coordination drill, just as it is. The flips are difficult, especially when you start to do the more advanced ones, but when you have to start thinking about when you're catching it, that's a whole nother layer of coordination. I hope you liked this video. If you did, let me know with a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and click the button down there. We're close to 400 subscribers, which is really cool. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.